And hello everyone, welcome to Around the Pound. I'm your host Chriz, aka The Mole. Joining me is James Phoenix and Marcus Shadow. And,
Hello.
and today's topic is witches in the media for Monster Month. So yeah, like last time, we'll just sit here, shoot the shit, and talk about witches in the media. And this can be anything from Sabrina the Teenage Witch to the Wicked Witch or anything. It doesn't matter as long as it's a female with magic powers in terms of witch, not in terms of like, even though Scarlet Witch is called Scarlet Witch, she's not an actual witch, so she doesn't count.
Yeah.
But yeah, like I said, there's been various stuff. You always see witches in the media, and there's been various types. There's been like the ugly witch, the hot witch, good witch, bad witch. Which that's pretty cool.
The misunderstood witch.
The sand witch. Does that not count?
Sure.
Yeah. And witches do have other names, like, because we're going with females with magic powers, because some people say witch, people have said sorceress, enchantress, and stuff like that, so, but you pretty much all know it's the same thing. Everyone knows that's pretty much the same thing. But
do genies count?
Are they normal human females with magic powers?
Well, obviously they're not normal human females because she's a genie, but she is a female with magic powers, yes.
Yes, that's why I said she wouldn't count, because she's a genie.
But some witches aren't technically human either.
Yeah, but they're still witches. That'd be like me saying to you, like, let's say we were doing a list, or let's say we were having a discussion about Star Trek captains. If I say to you, well, what about the guy from Andromeda? And you're like, what? Well, he piloted a ship. It was written by Gene Roddenberry. Come on, surely that must count.
Touche.
But yeah, like I said, there's been various witches, and like I know Jim likes, for example, Rita.
This is true.
Yeah, Rita was cool in the Power Rangers, even if her words didn't match her lips for the first season and a half.
Yeah, who doesn't match your lips, but I know you happen to like Power Rangers, so it's just, I was thinking of something you would have watched that contains witches.
Once Upon a Time?
Yep. Once Upon a Time also has them.
Indeed.
And of course, you have to give props to Willow. And on the flip side, as they like to call her, Dark Willow.
Yep.
But I know, which ones did you guys like?
Well, like you mentioned prior to the recording, there's Evil Lyn from He-Man and the Masters of the Universe.
There is.
I believe the one from She-Ra would count as well. Is it Glimmer or whatever? The one in purple and pink.
Yeah. I will say, when it comes to Evil Lyn from He-Man, I preferred, which I did to most things in He-Man, to be fair, the 2003, I want to say, 2003, 2006, whatever it was, series.
Fair enough.
The reboot one. I thought they did her really well on that. That was a great show.
I don't think I've ever seen that one.
You should, because it feels like He-Man, but it's less cheesy.
Fair enough.
But how about Jim?
I like Sabrina.
I liked Sabrina.
Most of the live action show, I haven't seen that much of the animated series personally.
The animated series is okay. Both of them were okay. There might be a third one, I don't know, but
I don't know.
I preferred the live action TV show. The reason I say that is I've seen the film that came before the TV show with Melissa Joan Hart in of Sabrina, and it's not as good. But the tie-in movies of the series were pretty good.
I've never seen Sabrina.
You should. It was pretty cool.
Mhm.
And of course, props to the worst witch.
Mhm.
The Worst Witch?
Yeah, it was a book, and it was a film, and it was a TV show. It was basically Harry Potter before Harry Potter.
Ah.
Like, literally, she went to a school for witches and basically had pretty much the same type of adventures.
Fair enough.
She even had that one teacher that seemed to not quite like her, but turned out to be nice in the end.
Ah. Fair enough.
I give unrelated props to the Grand Warlock.
Yep. And of course, there's also Wendy.
Wendy's a good one.
From that now classic film, Casper Meets Wendy.
Mm.
Another one I haven't seen.
Yep.
I know, that's why I was asking you guys what you have seen, but both of you were really quiet.
Well, you did mention Harry Potter, and then of course there's also always the Halloween Town.
Harry Potter wouldn't
series.
count.
Why not?
They're wizards.
Wizards and witches. The females are all witches.
Yes, but you didn't say female character, you said Harry Potter.
I was talking about the series.
And I was asking which characters.
Oh.
Hence why you didn't say He-Man, you said Evil Lynn from He-Man.
Oh. Well, every female character from the Harry Potter series, because there's too many to list. Like most of the named ones were actually pretty good. Like they actually did stuff, and yeah, they were written pretty well. They all knew magic, learned spells, both offensive, defensive, or otherwise. Support and whatnot. So it was kind of cool. You get to see younger witches learning how to be witches.
Yep. And it, like I said, it is always cool in the media of how they use witches. Like,
Yeah.
like obviously there was like the Free Witches on the the Terry Pratchett Discworld stuff, the sisters.
Mm-hmm.
They were pretty awesome.
And speaking of Three Sisters, Charmed.
Don't you mean 4?
Well, there was only ever 3 on screen at once.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Speaking
We
of
don't
Three
talk
Sisters,
about the bastard child.
speaking
Yeah.
of Three Sisters, Hocus Pocus.
Yep. Hocus Pocus was cool.
That was a great movie.
Yeah, like I said, they do tend to lend themselves really well. I do like the fact nowadays, if they're evil, more people choose to go with sorceress, because witch is meant to be more like Wiccan, which is more like an actual religious thing.
Mm.
Which means people shouldn't quite say that as bad as they normally do, but
Mm-hmm.
On a related note, I related to that. I give props to the Witch's Ghost from Scooby-Doo and the Witch's Ghost for subverting that entire trope of having Tim Curry spend the whole movie trying to convince everybody that his ancestor was a wicked healer and was wrongfully accused of being a witch, only to cover up the fact that he was trying to get hold of her spell book because she was actually a fucking witch.
yep. And yeah, like you said, Charmed was pretty good for the first 2-3 years before they killed Prue.
Yeah.
After that, I hated that show, and it just got worse every season.
Mm-hmm.
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 And of course, I'll give props to Bonnie Bennett.
I don't know who that is.
If anyone watching this, if anyone is watching this, if they watch obviously the Vampire Diaries, they'll know who she is, or read the books.
Vampire Diaries. Fair enough.
Fair enough. Any witches in Buffy you'd like to give props to?
We did.
Yeah,
Okay,
Willow
no, okay, fair enough. I must have missed that.
and Dark Willow.
Gotcha.
But yeah, people use witches in almost anything these days.
They do.
Give props to Witch Hazel from the Looney Tunes.
Yep. It's also worth noting, technically speaking, just because people always forget this, technically the character of Bonnie Bennett, it is worth noting, came before Willow.
Hmm.
Fair enough.
Yeah, people always forget that the Vampire Diaries were a series of books before fucking Buffy, because Josh Whedon took inspiration for various stuff from them, from the vampire stuff, from the witches, even some of the werewolf stuff, which that's pretty cool.
Hmm.
I mean, obviously the TV show got made years later.
Right.
And of course, obviously, like we got like I Dream of, no, not I what would you call it, Bewitched, which isn't there
Yeah.
isn't there a sequel to that coming soon?
Oh, the movie?
No. There's a sequel series, like Girl
Oh,
in
is
the
there?
World. Apparently, it's Bewitched, and it's Samantha's daughter or granddaughter or something like that.
What?
Now married with her husband and keeping a similar secret.
Okay then.
Wow. Okay.
I didn't say it was going to be a good one.
Touche.
Of course, you have like the Evil Queen and shit from Mortal Kombat.
Regina's in Mortal Kombat?
Nope. But props.
And most Disney villainesses are witches. I've noticed too.
They are.
It depends.
They also seem to be step families because Disney doesn't think they count.
Mm.
Yeah.
Well, it depends. There really haven't been that many witches. I mean, the Evil Queen would count.
Evil Queen would count. Maleficent.
Maleficent was a fairy.
But like we said, female we said female using powers in that regard because even though she was a fairy, she wasn't done like all the other fairies.
That was kind of the point. She was the evil fallen fairy.
Elsa.
I would count Elsa. Yes.
Plus, they also have the Wicked Witch from Wizard of Oz.
Yep.
Ursula.
Mm-hmm.
Yep, there has been a few.
Almost every Disney movie that's had a female antagonist, that main female antagonist has been a witch.
Yep. The villain from Enchanted.
Yep. I'm not saying that's a bad thing. I'm just saying that's something I just realized that Disney likes its witches.
It does.
But it
Disney
does. But it doesn't always. Cinderella got away without it.
Unless you count the sequels where her stepmother got powers.
Yeah, she just jacked the wand, though. She didn't actually get powers herself. She just stole somebody else's artifact.
Yeah, she also used them to reverse. She also used powers to reverse time and other shit. It's
still makes her a witch, even if it's
Yeah.
not her wand.
Fair enough. Also, yes, the new Bewitched sequel is going to be coming to NBC, apparently.
Fair enough.
yep.
And it's the granddaughter, so yeah, that's going to be so great.
I will just say for the record, I don't know. I am looking forward to that show.
I'm more looking forward to Fuller House on Netflix.
The reason why is I did like Bewitched. I did watch it in reruns and stuff, and I really did like Bewitched. And like I said, I miss shows like that. Like shows where it's like a comedy, but with some sort of supernatural-ish thing. They're not as common as they used to be. Like, where's the Addams Family, which also had a witch? Or the Munsters and stuff. Where's the prop? Where are those now? You don't see them as often because nowadays, if you're doing anything similar like that, like, oh, we're going to do like a dark gothic thing, it turns out like American Horror Story.
Or, in the case of NBC, it turns out like the Monsters reboot.
To be fair, they never released that as an actual show. And they ended up releasing the pilot as like some sort of movie thing. So
Halloween special, yeah.
Therefore, technically, that would be a reboot because it was only released as a movie. It would be a reboot of the movie, which the movie was shit anyway.
I didn't know there was an original movie.
Not an original movie. There was a movie based upon it, but yeah, it was shit. Oh, I see what you mean.
Yes, fair enough.
And how about my favorite character in Diablo 3?
Haven't played it.
Your favorite character in Diablo 3, the witch?
Yeah, she would count as a witch. Voiced by Azula.
Who would Azula count as a witch? Female with powers?
But, like I mentioned with like Scarlet Witch not counting because of mutation, her powers are a genetic thing because they all seem to have
true.
air, like fire bending in their blood from like in that nation.
True.
But I do like Azula.
Azula's awesome.
Hell, Power Rangers had a shit ton of evil witches.
Yep.
Yep.
And technically speaking, in Mystic Force, the I can't remember his name. The silver guy, the guy that was like the main villain for most of that season.
Mordegon.
Yeah, that's not a dude.
That's a robot.
That's a chick.
No.
In Power Rangers, it was a.
In Power Rangers, it was a dude, but the character in the original, well, as I found out when I went back to watch some of the stuff, I was like, oh wait, that's a chick?
Yeah, but that logic doesn't work because I'm sorry, Yellow MMPR is still a chick.
Mm-hmm.
I don't care what the original suit was. It was a chick.
Yep. But yeah, that character in Machi Ranger was actually a witch.
Nice. Which, yeah, there's also been like cartoons with it and stuff like, what the hell was it, like Magic or whatever the hell it was called. There was a TV show, like a cartoon about like this girl who had like witch powers with a friend who didn't have any and stuff, and it was pretty cool.
Yeah, that's like I said before, witches are very pervasive in media and in today's media, in media in general, just over the years. Now I think about it, I don't think there's ever been really an era where witches weren't pretty prevalent. They're all over the friggin' place.
Yep.
I think it will continue to be that, for better or for worse.
Yep, they are great characters, and so a lot of them can be great characters, and like I said, that's the reason we picked the monsters that we did, because they're the ones that are still, they've been around for years and they're still around, and they're never going to go.
Yep. Right, but I think witches, more than any of the other monsters, are the witches are the monsters that have the staying power, that they're going to be there regardless, whereas other ones, even vampires, they ebb and they flow, because.
But they've always been around, and some of them even predate witches.
They do, but it's not like they're constantly there, if that makes sense. Like around when Buffy came up, vampires weren't all that popular. They were starting to get popular again, and then like in the last like maybe 10 years, they got like really uber popular. Yes, there's been vampire movies or vampire this or that here and there, but as with many other things, there's an ebb and flow to its popularity, which dictates, how prevalent it is in media.
That's the same thing with witches, though.
See, I don't think so, because
it's like when Buffy came around with like Willow and stuff, and just before Charmed came out, there wasn't that much stuff where people cared that much about witches. They were used in the same type of way vampires were. Like, oh, you can buy witches' hat, or you can buy fangs in the store.
Well, I wasn't talking about popularity. I was talking about the fact that even if people weren't, caring about witches at the time, they were still in everything. Like, if you look at just across the board of things that have come out in the media, high percentage consistently has at least one witch in it. There's always a witch in something, but you don't see that with like vampires or werewolves or anything. You don't see, vampires in like 50+% of the stuff across the board across time. But witches, regardless if their intention was to put a witch in it or not, there's almost always a witch in something, and I don't know. I just realized that, and I was just thinking, you don't see that with a lot of the other monsters. They ebb and they flow. You see the monsters show up in things when their popularity wanes or waxes, and then when it wanes, they kind of fade out a little bit. They'll still be on a few things here and there, but they'll fade out, and people won't care as much. With witches, regardless of their popularity, regardless of if people care about witches at that time or not, they're always in stuff, like always.
See, I disagree with her.
Really?
Yeah, like I said, they're not always in stuff. Like, name a single witch in Avatar. Name a single witch in Turtles.
Technically Venus, but I'm not saying they're in.
She wasn't a witch. She was a ninja.
Fair enough. I'm not saying they're in every single property, but I'm just saying they're in a lot more than you think they are when you think about it, regardless if the intent was to put a witch in it or not.
Yeah, but I said, so are vampires. There was vampires in Charmed. There was vampires in Power Rangers. There was even a vampire in stuff like Bewitched and stuff like that.
Yeah, but Bewitched was back like in a time when all this big like movie or those monster movies were popular and stuff, and then shortly after that, the popularity of those movie monsters started to wane a little bit, and you didn't see a lot of stuff like that. You saw some things, but you didn't see a lot.
Yeah,
but I don't know. Going through all that, you still had witches and a whole fuck ton of stuff.
Yeah, that was my point. I'd say you still see like ghosts, vampires, and stuff in stuff equally with witches. It just depends on where you look. Like, if all you're looking at is Disney films, and yeah, you're just going to see witches because that's all Disney recycles. But like, if you were looking at like novels, or more novels, like during like 90s and now and stuff, had stuff like the Anne Rice Chronicles, the Vampire Diaries, Twilight.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, there's a reason everyone like lists like famous monster books. Straight away, everyone will say Dracula.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
That's staying power. But like I said, that's the reason I chose each one of these. I think they all have around the same amount of staying power, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
Like, there is witches in a lot of stuff, and they're normally handled well, or sometimes they're just handled really poorly. Like we mentioned, Power Rangers, because a lot of times it's just, we want someone with magic.
Yeah.
For the cliche, if we don't have to explain it.
Mm-hmm. True.
Mm.
But yeah, okay. Join us next week when we discuss vampires.
That'll be a good one.
And I was your host, Chriz, aka the Mole, and thank you for joining us, Marcus.
You're welcome.
And thanks, Jim.
You're welcome.
And yeah, peace.
And chicken.